Well, hello, I'm Chris, and this is my how to fix one of these that's completely screwed up. I don't have any that are bad anymore because I'm actually restoring all my deck lids for some reason. God dang it, I wish I would have took a picture of it. It was just completely mangled. I mean, it had a crack. I had to weld a crack up on it. Anyway, the point is how do you get this perfect again? Anybody can get it right there. You're going to have your freaking lock cylinder. The reason that we spread Bondo all around it is because it wasn't exactly level. It was all, once I straightened it up, it was just a freaking mess. Here's another one that's almost finished. This one was actually worse than the one we're working on. The only way you're going to do it, you're going to have to get you a piece of paper and you're going to have to find you a car with a good trunk lock on it. It's got to be a perfect one. You want to put the paper at the bottom of the edge for reference and find a center mark. In this case, we have this hole. Alright, so we got this tracing thing ready and you're gonna have a picture of it. Now I know this sounds like common sense when you're hearing me say this, but it's really not, because I struggled trying to figure out how to cut these, and this is what I came up with. It's the only way you're gonna do it. There's no way to memorize that. Okay, you want to cut this one out while you're around the other car so you can put it up to it and make sure that it's not cut too small or big. Okay, got your center line. See the ridge? See how off we are? It's not too bad. We basically got to fill the whole thing over. God dang it. Alright, so you can figure out how to clean yours out the best way you want to. I'm just going to tape it off and hit it with a sandblaster because it's got so many little grooves and stuff in there. What the? God dang it, man. Yeah, I'm sandblasting that crap. We're just leaving a little bit of the panel so that whenever we go to sand this, we're sanding the minimum off and we're not going to screw with this. All the body work on this has been done already. And this is really the kind of stuff that nobody wants to freaking do. This is like just annoying. It's either do this or spend $200 and buy a new part. In this case, we're just going to spray it with the 30 psi. Okay, see what happens? All this caked up stuff, it builds like little caverns in there. We're gonna sandblast it better. And I also zoomed in to show you, see that red 1K? See, that stuff isn't garbage. You see how it is bonded to that stuff, and we're sandblasting and it's sticking on there. It's not just flaking away. I just thought that was interesting. I've never sandblasted that red stuff before. Makes me feel better about it. So I got mine all clean, but we're gonna pretend that this is the one that's all mangled and beat up. Now of course you're gonna have to weld anything that's cracked or it will come back. So we're gonna pretend this one's been welded and just rough body work. Got everything cleaned out. We're gonna go ahead and just put a big giant coat of polyester on it because we got to rebuild and reshape the whole freaking thing. You don't want no craters. Push it in and then shape it. So I make these videos for beginners. This is the way you do it. There's nothing wrong with it. As long as this thing looks perfect when we get finished, that's all that matters. So as far as welding another piece in there, man, good luck on that. You're probably going to warp everything, easily have more than $200 the cost of a new part. So welding it in, cutting it out is just a bad freaking idea in my opinion. But if you think that's a good idea, please make a video on that, because I would love to see the finished results. But I doubt you'll ever paint it. You're just having a primer for the rest of your life. These have a race, like a ridge down the center. So if you're doing one of these, you're gonna have to use this as a reference. In other words, you're not gonna sand, because it has a little center, you're not gonna sand it like that. You're gonna have to sand it like this on each side, using this as a reference. Okay, see? Alright, see, we got it cut close. I'm just smoothing it up with 320 just so I don't have to look at these horrible sand scratches. See, and if you watch any of my videos, you see what the sealer test does. When we're perfecting our bodywork, it's gonna show everything on this panel. That's why I love doing the sealer test, but sometimes it gums up your paper and you gotta wet sand it. Leave stuff like that to try to block out with wet sanding. See, now we got some material here. Center the hole. Okay, now you got you a real good starting point. Now you will need a freaking Dremel for this. You will have to have a Dremel to do this. Now I'm telling you right now, you will need a freaking picture of it or you will screw it up. It's gotta be a picture. See how it's almost the same size? God. Oh! Just keep putting this over, checking it. Don't go too big. We're just rough cutting it. Just make sure you're still in that range. When you get it kind of close like that, what you want to do now is we want to grind out the circle for the key. Now this is where paying attention to details is going to end up with a successful job. Now we know that that little lip around there, now we see that little lip with those grooves, that's a little flat lip. It's exactly the size of the lock cylinder. So the first thing we can do now, what we're going to do is we're going to go straight to the edge of that circle. Does that make sense? To give us a real good starting point, you could actually do this with sandpaper around the pencil or something and just do a straight file. Let's go ahead and check that out. So this is just 36 wrapped around a pencil. And I hope you understand that when you swirl it up like that, you're squaring it off, getting it closer. Before we cut that little thing out for the lip, we need to go ahead and mark these all around here. I've already done that, cut them out. And we're also cutting these out to center this. Because if yours is all mangled up, a lot of that stuff gets moved over and distorted and the hole usually ends up bigger. So we're kind of having to cut that little cradle. Just very carefully, don't go too big. And you don't want this thing in there loose or it'll spin. We need ours to go over that way. So we're gonna make damn sure we get that one first. Just drop it in now. It's in there. Now we're just trying to grind that little lip. It's gonna be real hard to do it. Now we're using this curvy one and we're gonna try to create that little lip all around it. This is the hard part. Now we're carefully cutting out that little cradle not to go too far. Just be very, very careful. Now we got the cradle in there right. It's not spinning. The position looks right. We're just gonna finally replicate how the original looks very carefully. So that's why we rough cut it like that. Now it's pretty freaking close. Now this is the artistic part where you gotta just keep playing with it until you get it perfect. Now I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. Just to give you an idea how I'm sanding this is just on a pencil. It's gotta be something hard. And we're working from that little lip that we're trying to perfect it. We're still doing rough body work, but this is just in case you have no idea how to do this. This is 36 grit. You want to use 36 or it's going to take you forever to shape this. Alright, before you go too far with your body work, we need to stop and get some primer on this. Alright, so we finally got the bodywork where we want it. We're going to keep it like that. Since we put primer right here, we want to block this off as flat as possible so this flat panel doesn't look distorted. So we're going to block here, 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 here with a long 320 wet. We're just hitting it with 320, then we're gonna sand the whole thing down with 400 before we put the sealer on it and check our work. Just gonna take some 320. This is not wet or dry. We're just gonna kind of smoothing this up in here a little bit, just with our finger. It should be fine. These holes weren't like super perfect from the factory anyway, so as long as you get it close. This one's not 100% perfect. I could grind it like curved more on the edges, but it looks fine. Gonna hit it with this real good to get inside anywhere. Okay, one final look before we wash it down to paint it. Oh, we're gonna put a sealer test on it. It could be curved a little bit more right there, but like I said, when I go back and look at the factory one, it's not perfect either. So I'm gonna go ahead and wet sand the whole thing in 400. We're gonna put a coat of sealer on there and take a look at the final results. All right, so I just put the whole thing in sealer. Came out perfect. I'll just put the key in it. Okay, so everything looks good. I did miss some sand scratches and that thing right there. Okay, so it came out real nice. Once you paint that, it'll look 100% original. It's not 100% exactly like the original, but it's the closest we could get it because it was completely destroyed. Well, that's it for the video. It came out real nice. I'm happy with it. It actually took like 4 hours to do that. So if you like the video, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Hi, this is the